I'm going to run you through my presentation about the historic building we've renovated in Riga quickly. First of all, it is really an interesting project, and you might know that we are also responsible for the built heritage in Roche. So basically my department, the Roche Historic Collection and Archive, is responsible for everything the company wants to retain for eternity. So everything which is earmarked as a part of the legacy of the company, and this includes entire buildings, is in the end in the custody of my department. This is what the building in Riga looks like now. But the story of it is complicated and convoluted, and it has a lot to do also with the legacy of Roche in Russia. You see here the two representatives of the Aronstam family. Josef Aronstam with the spectacles, who was the first head of Roche in St. Petersburg. Roche's most important market was Russia until the Russian Revolution. When the Russian Revolution happened, the company went bankrupt and had to be saved by turning it into a limited company. It was a huge problem and a shock for the company founder. Josef Aronstam, who originated from the region of Kurland, then eventually could return to what then became Latvia and was refounded as an independent country. And he started to set up shop in Riga. One of his sons, pictured here, was in the middle, was Gregor Aronstam, and he became his successor, and many other members of the Aronstam family worked in the company. Unfortunately, Viktor Aronstam, the last head of the affiliate in Riga, was deported by the Nazis and killed in a concentration camp. The gentleman on your right is an architect called Alexander Klinklaus. And he was also of Latvian origin. He had a career as a ballet dancer in St. Petersburg. And after he couldn't dance ballet anymore, he retrained as an architect. And he became a very famous architect of healthcare buildings in Latvia. He luckily escaped all the worries and troubles in the late 1930s, early 1940s, and he became one of the most important hospital architects in North America, operating from Chicago. But one of his early works was the building he created for Roche in Riga in 1930. It was the first modernist structure of Roche. And the ground was bad, that was known, and it also became the first building in Riga which received a foundation made entirely from concrete. And you see here how they laid the reinforcing bars for this concrete foundation. This would become important later on. You see here some Latvian employees taking a nap. This is all from the documentation about the building in our archive. All building projects in Roche were documented like that. And this is what the building looked like when it opened in 1930. It had a lovely facade, and still has a lovely facade, made from tiles, which were provided by the company Solnhofer Baukeramik, which today is, of course, in Poland. This is the staircase, very typical for the Roche buildings. Some interior views. You will mention the modernist furniture. The sofa could be designed by Adolf Loos. And as you can see, the modernist character of the building is excellent throughout. Very typical for the climate in Latvia. The drain pipes from the roof are kept inside the building and not outside the building. They would be of little use in wintertime when it's freezing there. Siegersdorfer Baukeramik was the company, sorry, not Solnhofer. Siegersdorfer Baukeramik in Siegersdorf, which today, of course, is in Poland. And when we, in 2016, bought the building back, the land was restituted to Roche. Of course, the building was nationalized in the 1940s. And when the land was restituted in 1996, it was not the building that was included. It was only the land, the plot. The reason for it was that the building contained the offices of the Latvian Transport Police, and Latvia therefore did not restitute the building as such, but only the land. And in 2016, the Latvian state offered the building to Roche for sale, and our property specialist thought it was much too expensive, but we saw a unique chance to regain at least one of the properties we had created in Eastern Europe that were nationalized, and it was the first modernist structure created by Roche, and Roche has a huge legacy in modernist architecture. Debates followed how to deal with the fact that the building had settled unevenly. So actually one corner had sunken down 60 centimeters. And the whole building was not in a very good shape, as you can imagine. And the first solution was that they wanted to bridge this awkward angle of the building with ramps internally. And imagine what this would have looked like. It would have been like a graphic by Escher, probably. But I said, because I was responsible for the project, there's no way we are doing such a thing. Let's investigate whether we can rectify it. And luckily, the Italians came to our rescue. As you know, the Italians, they have a long tradition in dealing with buildings that are slanted, and we see here this wonderful company from Italy, which by drilling 400 micro columns into the cement floor, into the concrete floor of the building, were able to rectify it, which was interesting. And that's what the building looked like during the reconstruction phase. As you can see, not very much of it was retained, and we had to create a proper Roche office for Latvia, for Riga, from it. And by the way, for a Swiss pharma factory, it's quite telling that the most famous chocolate factory of Latvia, the Leona factory, is just across the street. So there is Roche, the Swiss pharmaceuticals company, and the most important chocolate factory in Latvia, Leona, just across the street. On the 8th of April in 2019, we had a kind of foundation ceremony with this capsule, this time capsule, placed in under the main stairs, with the Swiss ambassador Konstantin Obolensky present. And this is what the plot looks like, and this is, of course, the elevations, the cross sections. And today, of course, the building presents itself as the headquarters of Roche in Latvia, with its beautiful original tiled facade, which was cleaned and renovated with the parts which we found under the stairs. It's very typical for the Roche engineers that when they had something special in a building, like this tiled facade, that they would hide certain parts under the stairs, which were difficult to replace. And this is the photograph you have seen beforehand. Indeed, when we took down this small gypsum wall, we found the spare parts under the stairs, which we could use to reconstruct and renovate the facade. That's the view from the courtyard. The historical staircase was renovated, of course. It's birchwood panels. It's really very specific and very special. And the lobby was equipped with artworks. I think you can see the glass art there, which was hung, and by Anda Munkevica. In all our premises worldwide, we always have art, local art integrated. And these are some views from the building inside, with a historical staircase on the first floor. Swung staircases are a classic element of modernist architecture. You will find them in all premises of Roche worldwide, be they new or be they historical, and Latvia is no exception. This is how the staircase was manufactured by Latvian craftsmen. And of course, it is now a state-of-the-art office building with historical details having been kept intact. This was the official opening of the building on 25th of August 2020. André Hoffmann, our vice chairman of the board of directors, and Severin Schwan, at the time CEO of the company. This here is the glass artist, Anda Munkevica, standing there. They opened the building, and they were also received by the president at the time of the Republic of Latvia. This here is Raus Velinš, the general manager of Roche in Latvia. And as a gift to Roche Latvia, we presented them with this piece of art by Jean Tinguely, who is in a way the house artist of Roche, since the Tankley Museum in Basel was set up on the occasion of the 100-year jubilee of the company. And this work is called La Liberté. It was created by Jean Tankley on the occasion of the events in Eastern Europe in early 1990 as a response to the events in Eastern Europe. It was a very touching event, this opening, with also music, as you would expect in a company which is very much focused on culture like Roche. And it really was a homecoming for our colleagues in Latvia. They had been in very ugly rented offices from the 1990s, a horrible building, and they needed more space. And this was a lucky coincidence, because normally, of course, in a company like Roche, we don't have our own premises anymore in foreign countries. Usually we just rent office space for such affiliates. And as a rare exception, we could actually justify to restore and renovate this historical facility in Riga for our colleagues there, who just so happened to need more space and to need a new place for their home in Latvia. And it's the only case where a building that was nationalized within Roche Group Holdings actually returned into our custody, and we could take care of it and of this specific part of our legacy. Thank you very much indeed for your attention. I hope you found this interesting.